Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, August the 8th. We got a 5-game slate on Draftkings starting at 1 o'clock p.m., so early start, than normal. On Yahoo, they're going with just a 4-game slate. They're going to start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so early slate on DK, 5-gamer. We'll talk about these 5 games, go position by position, hit on the guys that stand out to me the most, looking at this slate the night before. This is a slate where we do have a ton of injuries to watch. So LeBron's currently questionable. That's one of the big injuries we have to watch. A lot of the Jazz guys sat on Friday. I'm assuming they're going to play today, but, I guess we'll have to wait and see there. AD's probable. He's expected to play. But the Pacers, they're another team that's, a lot of questionable guys. TJ Warren, questionable. Miles Turner, questionable. We know Sabonis is still out. I believe that Malcolm Brogdon is questionable as well, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Okay, never mind. So I think Brogdon's expected to play. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, so Brogdon's playing. It's just Miles Turner and TJ Warren, both questionable for the Pacers. So those are big injuries to watch. Those two guys, LeBron, obviously. Jamal Murray still questionable. Will Barton, I believe, is still out. And Jimmy Butler's still out. Goran Dragic is questionable. Another big injury. Kendrick Nunn out. So, yeah, there's just a lot of guys that are out today. There's a lot of guys that are questionable. This definitely could be a slate where we do have some value depending on how these injuries shake out. So I'll be sure to talk about that when we go through each position. Hit on the value plays I like if somebody sits, who I'm going to be targeting there. But before we do get started, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. If you are new here, would appreciate it if you would subscribe. I do have a ton of content coming out right now on this YouTube channel. Trying to upload 2 videos a day, at least getting an NBA video up every single day. I'm trying to get MLB videos up as well. Upload as much content as I can to this YouTube channel. Try and make this YouTube channel very active again. I went on a long break whenever sports, shut off. I didn't upload it all for 4 months, but now I'm really starting to ramp things up, upload as much content as I can for you guys, and it's kind of been paying off. I mean, we've really seen the channel grow. The last couple of weeks, I've been gaining a ton of subscribers. Love to see that, guys. I love to see a lot of new faces here, so thank you for checking out the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you would like, it's optional. You can check out the Patreon that's linked down below in the description. If you want to get more content from me, if you really enjoy these videos on YouTube and you want to see some of the other stuff I have to offer, that is linked down below linked down below in the description on Patreon. I have articles, updated core plays that I post daily over there. I have a Discord chat as well that's available for Patreon members where, we're talking through the slates all day long. I'm in there answering questions. Any questions you have, I'll always answer them in Discord, as soon as I can get to them. So check out the Patreon, see all that I have to offer over there. But I think that's it, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at this 5-game slate. We will start off at the top at point guard. Definitely a loaded position. We got 3 guys over 10K on DraftKings, 10K and above. Luka Doncic against the Bucks, LeBron against the Pacers, who, like I said, is questionable, and then Damian Lillard against the Clippers. So looking at these 3 guys, I think Luka is definitely my favorite, and Luka's someone I like quite a bit on the slate. I think he's by far my favorite pay-up option. So he's coming off a very disappointing game against the Clippers. Played 35 minutes, but only had 42 DraftKings points. I didn't really watch much of that game, but I'm just assuming that, he struggled with Kawhi and Paul George defending him the whole game. Those 2 guys are obviously elite defenders. It didn't seem like Luka, struggled from the field shooting-wise. I mean, he shot 47% from the field, 46% from 3. I think it was just the peripherals. Only 3 rebounds, only 6 assists. I guess that's what really, killed him. He still had 29 points, which is good. Just wasn't getting the peripherals. I like this spot, though, for him today against the Bucks. The Bucks, right now, they're the fastest-paced team in the league. They're playing at the fastest pace in the league. They're a good defensive team, but I think pace, over it tramps defense in my opinion. Just getting guys in fast-paced games is so crucial for NBA DFS. Just allows you to get more possessions, more opportunities to get shots up, more rebound opportunities. Just fast-paced games are what you want to target in NBA DFS. Pace-up spots as well. And this is definitely a pace-up spot for the Mavericks. If we do look at pace this season, the Mavericks are 18th. So they're playing they're 18th in pace. The Bucks, lead the league in pace. Definitely a big-time pace-up spot for them. Luka, we know this guy has a 37% usage rate on the season. Averages 1.7 fantasy points per minute. Dude's a complete stud. Doesn't seem like, the Mavericks are going to limit him at all. I'm pretty sure they still have something to play for, so they're giving Luka his normal, 36, 38 minutes. At 11K, he's expensive, but there's enough value today. You should be able to get him in. And if those injuries break certain ways, like if Miles Turner and TJ Warren and LeBron are out, we're going to have even more value. So really like Luka on both sides. If we look over to Yahoo, he's at $54 at point guard. I think he is definitely one of my favorite point guards today, especially because the position is pretty weak. Not a ton of guys that really stand out. Like in this mid-range, we got some questionable guys here. There's not much value. Monte Morris is someone I've been playing a lot recently, but now he's priced up to $15, so I doubt I really go to him today, even if Jamal Murray's out. I feel like I'm definitely going to be paying up for Luka on Yahoo. Love the spot here against the Bucks. Pace-up spot. That's where I really want to target Luka in fast-paced games, so I like him a lot at 11K. LeBron at 10-4, if he plays, I doubt I really go to him. I think I would just rather play Luka. I honestly think LeBron's going to sit again. The Lakers have nothing to play for. They locked up the 1 seed. They can't fall in the standings. I'm pretty sure LeBron's probably going to sit this game, and I think, maybe next game we'll see Anthony Davis sit as well. You're going to see both these guys probably rest a couple more games just because the Lakers have nothing to play for. But if he does play, I still don't really have interest in him. I just, rather play Luka. Definitely worried about their minutes too. AD, he played 29 minutes last game. The game did blow out. He didn't step on the floor at all in the fourth quarter. I think even if you see guys like LeBron and AD play, like their minutes could definitely be limited. I think the Lakers are going to be playing their young guys a lot just for these next couple of games, just to to avoid the risk of maybe these guys getting hurt. That would obviously be terrible if these guys are getting hurt in meaningless games. So LeBron's really risky even if he plays. I don't want to go there. Damian Lillard, not risky right now. The dude's just getting massive minutes. He's going to play 40 minutes if this game is close. It is a very tough matchup, though, against the Clippers. I expect Kawhi Leonard or Paul George to be on Damian Lillard at all times during this game. Lillard's just such a high-usage player that he can still come through even in a really tough matchup. He's going to chuck regardless. I think I'd rather get to Luka, though. I just like Luka's spot a little bit more. Lillard, I think, like kind of what happened with Luka. I think, if there's ever a team that can shut down a dominant player like Damian Lillard, a dominant player like Luka, it's probably going to be the Clippers. They have two of the best on-ball defenders in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So ranking those top studs, it's Luka number 1 for me, Lillard 2, and then LeBron, way down there at 3. LeBron's not even going to be in my player pool today, I don't think. Even if he plays, I'm not going to him. But in this mid-range, you got Devin Booker for 8,300. I really like Devin Booker here, not because it's a good matchup, but, the Heat are without Jimmy Butler today, so I assume, if Butler was playing this game, he was going to be guarding if Butler was playing this game, he was going to be guarding Devin Booker. That's not the case. Butler's already out, so it does become a little bit of a better matchup for Booker. I just expect his minutes to be through the roof. The Suns have won 4 straight games. They actually have a chance to get into the playoffs if they can keep winning games. So I think they're going to keep giving their starters huge minutes. They're trying to win these games, and this is a spot where they can definitely get a win here against a Heat team that's really injury depleted right now. I think we're going to get like 38, maybe even 40 minutes from Devin Booker. This guy is an incredibly high usage player, going to have the ball in his hands a ton, won't have to deal with Jimmy Butler defense. I actually like Devin Booker quite a bit at 8,300. I think if I'm going to go to between Booker, Mitchell, McCollum, Murray, Booker's my favorite guy there by far. He's definitely the guy that I like most. Mitchell, he's listed as out on Draftkings, but he's going to play, I assume. He rested on Friday. I assume they're not going to rest him 2 days in a row, so expect Mitchell to play. It's 7,900, though. I would still rather get to Devin Booker over him. Then you have Brogdon, Rubio. Rubio's pretty cheap, 6,400. That price definitely stands out. I don't mind him. If TJ Warren and Miles Turner sit for the Pacers, you're going to see a lot of usage flow to guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Victor Oladipo. I think those guys will become very appealing. So I do have some interest in Brogdon at 6,900, depending on how those injuries shake out. What sucks, though, is that this is a 6 o'clock game. It's one of the later games, so we're probably not going to have that news before lock. I wouldn't assume. So you might want to be ready to make some pivots. You could play Brogdon regardless of if those guys are in or out. But if those guys were to sit, I would definitely want to get some Brogdon in my lineups. Maybe make a late swap to get him in if you could. But just looking in the 5K range, between Lou Will, Reggie Jackson, I don't really want to go to those guys. Kendrick Nunn is out today, so that's big for the Heat. He's out along with Jimmy Butler. Plus, Goran Dragic is questionable. Now, if Goran Dragic plays, I absolutely love him. He's going to be one of my favorite plays of the day if he does play today. I would assume that he starts at point guard. He normally is a guy that comes off the bench, but there's no Kendrick Nunn, there's no Jimmy Butler. I guess they could play Tyler Hero at point guard, which I think they might do, especially if Dragic is out too. Like, they're going to have no other guy that can, play point guard. But if Dragic plays here, I assume he starts and probably gets around 30 minutes. Dragic is an incredibly productive player when he gets minutes, averages over a fantasy point per minute with Jimmy Butler off the floor. I'm going to like him a lot at 5,100. But, a bad thing, this is another late night game, so we're not going to have that news before lock, I wouldn't guess. The good thing, though, is that, if you do put Dragic in the lineup and if he's out, you could always pivot. I know Tyler Hero isn't point guard eligible, but if you put Dragic in your guard spot, then you could always play Tyler Hero, who we'll talk about, because Hero is the same price as Dragic. He's also 5,100. So that's easily a swap you can make. Or you could even, let's see, I don't know if you could make any other swaps maybe. I guess you could put in Aaron Holiday. He's going to start and play probably big minutes. Even with Oladipo and Brogdon healthy, they're still playing Aaron Holiday big minutes. So I guess if you have Dragic in your lineup and then come 5:30 you get the news that he gets ruled out, then you could always swap to Aaron Holiday. But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to have Dragic in my lineups even if we don't get that news before lock. And then if he gets ruled out, I'll just swap somewhere and make some changes. I like him though a lot if he plays this game, especially if we don't get that news till later on in the night, if we don't get that news till 6:30, Dragic is going to be really low owned because, he's going to be questionable all day. Nobody's going to know if he's going to play or not. Nobody's probably going to play him. I would like that a lot if, we get news at 6:30 that Dragic is playing. I would definitely, start hammering him into some lineups because there is big time upside for him in this spot if he does play. So I'm going to like him a ton if he's in. But other than that, I think that's probably it for me at point guard. If Jamal Murray's out again, you could always play Monte Morris. A little bit concerning that he didn't step on the floor at all in the fourth quarter. He still played 30 minutes, though, even after the end of the third quarter. He was on pace to play huge minutes. Didn't touch the floor at all in the fourth quarter, though. It was a great spot against Portland, and he really disappointed. The minutes should continue to be there as long as Jamal Murray remains out. So I don't mind him at 4,400. You could always go there for value. And then I guess if LeBron's out, Quinn Cook could be worth considering. He's only 3,200. He did start last game with LeBron out and played 29 minutes. Wasn't very productive, only had 16 DK points, but the minutes were there. Alex Caruso, now if Alex Caruso plays, he missed the last game with LeBron out, but if he were to play today and LeBron were to sit, then I would assume Caruso would get the start. And if Caruso winds up starting for LeBron, then he would actually be a very good value play at only 3,300. Caruso is a much more productive fantasy player than a guy like Quinn Cook is, so he would become a top value play. Another guy that you can put in your lineup if LeBron gets ruled out and Caruso plays. Caruso is going to be way lower owned than he should be just because he's going to be questionable all day. So definitely take note of that. There's going to be a lot of news you got to watch throughout the day, especially after the slate locks. There's going to be a lot of news to wait on. So make sure you're checking your lineups, checking the news throughout the day, especially with how these games are set up. With games going on all day, you can't just set your lineup at 1 o'clock and then not check it at all during the day because you're going to get burned. News is going to break. You're going to need to make changes to your lineups. Always, you should always be doing that, but especially now with how the games are set up. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about shooting guards. So Devin Booker at the top here. I really like today, 8,300. I think he's probably he's by far my favorite shooting guard at the top. But like I said, Jimmy Butler's out. Will Barton's out. I believe he's out. Yeah, okay. Barton is out, so both Butler and Barton are out. In this 5K range, though, Victor Oladipo I do have some interest in, especially if TJ Warren and Miles Turner wind up sitting. Oladipo, he's getting the minutes right now. He's playing 30-plus minutes. If Turner and Warren were to both sit, that would be a lot more usage, a lot more usage would flow towards Oladipo. At 5,700, not the best spot against the Lakers, but if LeBron were to sit, we saw what Houston did to them the other night. Their defense gets much worse with LeBron off the floor. I do like Oladipo here at 5,700, especially if Warren is out and if Miles Turner's out too. Tyler Hero, though, this is probably, my go-to guy for today. Probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. I do expect him to be pretty popular, but I think this is chalk that I'm fine eating. I think he's too cheap on both sides. He's only 5,100 on Draftkings, and if we look over on Yahoo, you got Tyler Hero at only $13, just way too cheap in my opinion. So we already know that Jimmy Butler's out. We already know that Kendrick Nunn's out. Goran Dragic is questionable. We'll have to see if he plays or not. Even if he plays, I still think Tyler Hero is going to get big minutes. Played 33 minutes last game with both Dragic and Butler out. I think, I mean, Kendrick Nunn played like 30 minutes last game, so those 30 minutes would obviously get soaked up a lot by Dragic, and then you would probably see Tyler Hero get a few more minutes as well. I'm assuming Hero gets like 33, 34 minutes today. If Dragic sits, then there's a good chance you see Tyler Hero play like 36, 38 minutes because they're going to be really low on bodies. I also assume that if Dragic were to sit, that Tyler Hero would start at point guard. At 5,100 against the Suns, I mean, he looks like a top value play today. Just too cheap on DraftKings. I mean, this guy should be like 6K now that he's getting big minutes, now that he's getting more usage. There's legit like 40-point upside for him. He's a guy that's going to go out there and shoot, going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's a productive player when he gets the minutes. Love Tyler Hero here. Definitely one of my favorite plays on the slate. Like I said, he's going to be pretty popular, I would assume, but this is chalk that I'm fine eating. I'll just differentiate elsewhere. I'll play a couple of low-owned guys, but I'll definitely eat the chalk with Tyler Hero. I think he's a really good play today at 5,100. But then some other guys we could look to. So Gary Trent just continues to get huge minutes off the bench. 36, 35, 34 minutes the last 3 games. Looked great last game against Denver. 43 DraftKings points in 36 minutes. Not the best spot here against the Clippers, but Portland continues to run an incredibly tight rotation. They're only playing like 7, 8 guys. No one else is getting minutes. So we're seeing a guy like Gary Trent get huge minutes off the bench. I expect that to continue. At 4,800, that kind of feels expensive, but this guy has shown that he can get 30, 35 DraftKings points when they give him the minutes, and that's the case right now. So I definitely like him as a value. I think Duncan Robinson should benefit today with no Nunn and no Butler. At 4,800, he's definitely someone you could consider. Another guy that's benefited without Jimmy Butler has been Andre Iguodala. Hasn't started the last 2 games, but has come off the bench and played 31 and 28 minutes, 28 and 32 DraftKings points. He has been incredibly productive. So Iguodala was someone, that I didn't really like to play when he was with the Warriors. He would have, games where he would play like 32 minutes and he would score like 15 DraftKings points. But I think a lot of that was due to him playing with, Kevin Durant, playing with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, high-usage players. There's some high-usage guys on the Heat like Dragic, Bam Adebayo, but I think we're going to see Andre Iguodala be a very productive player with the Heat when he gets the minutes. He's been very productive as of late, been contributing in all categories. This is a guy that can, do everything, can score, rebound, get assists, can get steals and blocks as well. He's still only 4,500. I think that's a little bit too cheap for Iguodala, especially, if he's going to play 30 minutes, which I assume he will. If Dragic were to sit, we might see Iguodala play some point guard when Tyler Hero's not on the floor. There's a lot of upside for Iguodala here at a $4,500 salary. He could legit go for 35 VK points, and, I wouldn't be surprised. So I like him a lot as a value on DK, and on Yahoo, he is really cheap over there as well. He's only $12 at small forward. Him and Tyler Hero look like top values on Yahoo. Just both guys are way too cheap in my opinion. I like them a ton today. But I think that's probably it for shooting guard plays. Dion Waiters was someone I liked a lot last slate with LeBron out. He didn't really do much. Came off the bench and played 25 minutes. Only had 13 DraftKings points. You could go back there today. I don't mind it, but I think if LeBron's out again, I'm probably just going to hopefully Caruso will play and I can play Alex Caruso because that's a guy that I would actually like a lot for value. Honestly, I'd probably just play Quinn Cook at 3,200 over Waiters, now that Waiters' price came up a little bit. And plus, Quinn Cook, he played almost 30 minutes last game. If Caruso plays, though, I assume Caruso plays about 32 minutes and probably starts for LeBron, which would make him a great value. He is shooting guard eligible. He's 3,300 here. But yeah, guys, I think we covered everything for the shooting guard position. So let's go ahead and talk about small forward now. So like I said, LeBron at the top here, 10-4, don't really have any interest in him. Even if he plays, there's a chance they limit him. So not going there. Kawhi Leonard at 8,800, I don't mind. This is a really good spot against Portland. We know Portland's a really bad defensive team. In terms of defensive rating, they are, 4th worst in the league, 27th in defensive rating. They are playing at the 12th fastest pace as well. The Clippers are 8th in pace, so this is a game you expect to be played at a pretty fast pace. But Kawhi, he's just not giving you the big upside games that you need at an $8,800 salary. Like in tournaments, I want Kawhi to get 50 plus at least. And as of late, he hasn't had any games over 50 DraftKings points. So far through 4 games in the bubble, he's been at 47 DK points or less. Even in a good matchup against Portland, I don't think I need to pay up for Kawhi today. Like I think there's other plays or other places I'd rather spend my salary. So I don't really feel like I'm going to be going to him. You could go to Paul George at 8K, but honestly, these Clippers guys, I don't really think I'm going to get much exposure to them. Kind of the same with Paul George. At 8K, in tournaments, I'm looking for about 50 DraftKings points, and he just hasn't been getting there. He had the good game against the Lakers where he put up 47 in 34 minutes. But I just don't know if I need to play him at 8K if he's going to be like a core play for me. Obviously, if you're playing a lot of lineups, you can definitely get exposure to these guys. But I think if I'm just playing one lineup today, I don't think Kawhi or PG make it into my one lineup. That's just my opinion. But an injury to watch here, TJ Warren, he's 8,200. If he plays today, I'm not going to play him. I didn't play him last slate. He finally had, a normal TJ Warren game. Shot 35% from the field, 20% from three, had 36 DraftKings points. Like, this is what TJ Warren, that's a normal TJ Warren game. You're not going to see him shoot 80% from the field every game. Don't expect 50 DraftKings points. He might have one or two more games where he pops off for 50, but the normal is going to be about 35 to 40 from Warren. So even if he plays today, I don't like him at 8,200. But if he's out, that's big time because he's been playing, or he's had an incredibly high usage rate so far through the bubble. I assume a lot of that usage would go to guys like Brogdon, Oladipo. Those guys would be really good plays. I'm assuming like Justin Holiday would probably start if Warren's out. I don't really want to play Justin Holiday, but definitely guys like Brogdon and Oladipo will become much more appealing. Michael Porter Jr. is someone I like a lot today. So this guy has just been incredible as of late. Last 3 games, 59, 53, and 54 DraftKings points. Been over 50 DK points in 3 straight games and getting huge minutes as well. 44, 36, and 34 minutes. With no Will Barton, with no Gary Harris, those guys still out, we should expect the minutes to continue to be there for Michael Porter Jr. I mean, there's no way he doesn't get big minutes with how well he's been playing. He's 7,200. I know the price tag is coming up, but this is a guy that, when he's on the floor, he's going to be productive. He's a high usage player. He's going to, demand the ball. He's going to shoot. If he starts making shots, he's just going to keep shooting. They're just going to keep giving him the ball. Even in the, a less than ideal spot against the Jazz, a good defensive team, a slow-paced team, I still like Michael Porter a ton. I think there's still upside for him to pay off a $7,200 salary. The price came up on Yahoo as well. Over here, he's $26. He was like $14 last slate, and he was like 90% owned. You pretty much had to play him. If you didn't have Michael Porter, you probably lost on Yahoo the other day. I think with the price coming up to 26, we are definitely going to see the ownership come way down. But I still think he's a really good play even at $26. Just so much upside for him, even at that expensive salary. Like, he could go out there and drop 50 fantasy points again, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is a guy that, has a pretty high, I think his usage rate's like 25% on the season, averages like 1.15 fantasy points per minute. He's a productive player. These games are no fluke. This is the kind of upside this guy has. He just hasn't been getting the minutes. Like Mike Malone just refuses to give him minutes. I don't know why. Finally, it looks like he's gonna get the minutes though. So love him at 7,200. And then some other guys, Oladipo. If Warren's out, I'm gonna like him a lot at 5,700. Kyle Kuzma. So he's someone that I like a ton today. I'm assuming that LeBron's gonna be out. We'll have to wait and see there, but I think they're probably going to sit LeBron. And even if LeBron plays, we could definitely see him get some limited minutes. I think we're going to expect Kuzma to get big minutes till the playoffs start. They're going to start, playing their young guys more. They're going to start, resting LeBron, resting AD. You just don't need to play those two guys, those two stars, when you have nothing to play for. So, yeah, I think LeBron's going to be out again. Kuzma started last game with LeBron out, and he was very productive, 30 minutes and had 39 DraftKings points. Kuzma's always been a productive player whenever, one of LeBron or AD's off the floor. It's tough for him to produce playing alongside those two guys because they're such high usage players. But when you get those guys off the floor, Kuzma can, really produce. He can score. He can rebound. At 5,400 on DK, I still like him a lot if LeBron's out again. Over on Yahoo, he's still incredibly cheap over here. He's only $14. If LeBron sits, I think he's going to be a top value play at only $14. I like him a lot on both sides. Definitely one of my favorite values. And honestly, I think if LeBron plays, I wouldn't be surprised to see his minutes, limited. Like, I wouldn't be surprised we see the notification that LeBron's going to play, and then, later after that you see that he's going to be on a minutes limit, because they just have nothing to play for. They have no reason to run LeBron, 30 minutes in a meaningless game, risk injury. There's no need for that. So really like Kuzma here. I think, the minutes should continue to be there, especially if LeBron's out again. You're definitely going to see him play 30-plus minutes. But other small forwards, I think that's probably it here. Not much stands out besides the guys I've already talked about, like Trent Jr., Robinson. You could play at small forward for value, under 5K. If you want to take a shot on Dion Waiters again, you could do that. even if TJ Warren's out, I expect Justin Holiday to start, but I don't want to play him. He's just not that productive of a player. He's a low usage player as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about power forward real quick. So at the top here, you got Giannis for 10,800 against the Mavs. I don't mind Giannis here. It'll be interesting to see what his minutes are like. So that game against Brooklyn, he only played the first half and then didn't play at all in the second half. Against Miami, he got 30 minutes in that game. They won by 14. I'm not sure if he came out early in that game or not. I think the Bucks are another team that's locked up the 1 seed. They have nothing to play for. So that's definitely a risk. If you roster Giannis right now, just note that the Bucks have nothing to play for, and it wouldn't be surprised to see him only play like 28 minutes. I think that's probably what he's going to be at, till the playoffs start. That's why I think I prefer someone like Luka. I'm pretty sure the Mavs still have, if they can win games, they can still get a better seed. They have something to play for. So that's why I prefer him over the guys like Giannis and LeBron. AD as well. Like, even if LeBron's out, I don't know if I'm going to go to AD today. I played AD on the last slate when LeBron was out. I thought AD, even if they were going to limit his minutes a little bit, I thought there was just so much upside for him against an undersized Houston team. And I watched a lot of that game. Like, he just didn't look interested. He just didn't demand the ball. Wasn't his aggressive. Only had 36 Draftkings points in 30 minutes. That was a very disappointing game from Davis. I was expecting a big-time game from him with no LeBron. That wasn't the case. I think we're going to see a scenario where they probably limit his minutes till the playoffs start. Especially like if games get out of hand, they're not going to go put AD back into a game that's out of hand. Like, if going into the fourth quarter, if the Lakers are down even 15 points, like, AD's probably not coming back in the fourth quarter. There's just no reason for them to push him more than they should with nothing to play for. So just take note of that. Rostering AD and LeBron till the playoffs start is going to be a very risky move. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe they'll just play their normal minutes, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see limited minutes from both guys till these regular season games are over. But some other power forwards, so love use of Nurkic again. I was very high on him last slate. Didn't have the best game, only 41 DK points, but still played 35 minutes. He's getting the minutes right now. Hassan Whiteside is also doubtful for the Blazers, so that just even, makes me feel better about Nurkic's minutes. I don't expect Nurkic to play like 38 minutes. I just don't know if he's, ever going to do that, but I feel pretty confident he gets about 34, 35 minutes again, especially with Whiteside expect to sit. Zach Collins should pick up a few more minutes as well, but obviously, losing a guy in the back or in the front court is just going to allow someone like Nurkic to, play even more minutes. At 8,900, I like that price still. I think there's upside on that price. He can still get you 50-plus DraftKings points. The Clippers are definitely a team you can attack with opposing bigs. You can attack them like a guy like Zubac's not going to slow down Nurkic. So if I'm paying a power forward, I really like Nurkic at 8,900. Like, I would definitely take the savings and play him over guys like Giannis and Davis, or Giannis and AD, I should say. But other power forwards, guys that I haven't talked about, DeAndre Ayton been really good as of late. Only 7,600 on DraftKings, still a little bit too cheap in my opinion. Not the best spot though against Miami. Bam Adebayo, a really solid defender, could definitely give some troubles could definitely give Ayton some troubles here. But like Devin Booker, Ayton's just going to play huge minutes. The Suns, they're undefeated right now in the bubble. If they continue to win games, they have a legit shot to make the playoffs. So expect big minutes from Ayton. Not the best spot, but it's 7,600. There's still upside for him at that price. If I can, I would probably try and get up to Nurkic, but I don't mind Ayton at 7,600. I think he's definitely in play today. Kelly Olynyk to continue to get big minutes. Last game without Jimmy Butler, played 34 minutes, had 25 DK points. The game before that without Butler, he started, played 32 minutes, had 41 DK points. With no Butler today, I assume they start Olynyk again. Probably going to play about 32 to 34 minutes. Not really a guy that, in terms of production, not a guy that's going to go out there and drop 40 points regularly, but you could definitely see Olynyk go for like 30, 35 DK points here. I'm pretty sure he's a fantasy point per minute player with Jimmy Butler off the floor. And he's only 4,900. The price didn't really go up, so I do like Kelly Olynyk still. I'm pretty sure he's still cheap on Yahoo. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, he's still $17 on Yahoo, so if you want to play him at center, he's definitely a guy you could look to as a value. But yeah, I think that's it for power forward. I guess one more guy we'll talk about, Zach Collins. So with Hassan Whiteside doubtful and not expect to play, I assume we see Zach Collins probably play like 32 to 34 minutes. Whiteside was getting about 18 to 20 minutes a game. I think we're going to see some of those minutes, a couple of those minutes will go to Nurkic, a couple will go to Collins, and then you might see them run some small ball lineups I don't know who they would play at center against the Clippers. Like, we might see them run small ball. I don't think they're going to bring an extra guy off the bench. Like, the Blazers are pretty set on running a tight rotation right now. So they're just going to divvy up Whiteside's minutes to the starters if I had to guess. I don't think we're going to see, like, Nasir Little get in the rotation. Maybe he will, but I don't think that's going to happen. So you could definitely target Collins here. Should be looking at a few more minutes with Whiteside out. But yeah, I think that's it for power forward. So let's run through center real quick just before we end the video. So at the top, at center, you got Jokic for 9,200 against the Jazz. I mean, Jokic, he should continue to get, usage or all the usage without Jamal Murray if he remains out. No Will Barton, no Gary Harris is a boost for Jokic. But I think one thing that's concerning is that he only played 24 minutes last game against Portland. They didn't bring the starters back into the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure the Nuggets, they're locked into the playoffs. I don't know if they can, move up in the standings or move down in the standings. I don't know if their spot's locked in. I saw a report that Michael Malone was going to be cautious with the starters, rest of season or till the end of the regular season, till the playoffs start. That's definitely worrisome. I think we might see Jokic have his minutes limited, till the playoffs start. A guy like Michael Porter Jr., though, I'm not really worried about him because he's a young guy. They'll run him 34, 35 minutes, whereas Jokic, their star player, you don't want to push him more than you should. So I guess that is a bit worrisome. That probably is going to take me off of Jokic here. I just don't know what his minutes are going to look like. If Malone's going to keep limiting his starters, then, I'm a bit worried there. So I would rather go to Nurkic, who we know is going to get, 36 minutes most likely, and is a pretty good spot against the Clippers. So between Jokic and Nurkic, I do prefer Nurk from Portland. Even with them being closely priced, I think Nurk, is just safer right now. He's going to be locked into big minutes because Portland, I'm pretty sure they're like 3 or 4 games out of the 8 seed. They need to win games to have a chance. So yeah, that's just my thoughts there. Porzingis at 8,400, you could go there. Always has the upside. Put up a monster game last game against the Clippers, 51 DK points. There's always 50-point upside for Porzingis, but I think I would prefer to get up to Nurkic if possible. Bam Adebayo looks pretty nice at 7,400. Didn't have the best game last game. Was really disappointing against Milwaukee. Only played 22 minutes. I think he did deal with some foul trouble in that game. I have to assume, he's going to play his normal minutes. They haven't limited him yet so far. That game he played 22 minutes was because of foul trouble. The game he played 28 minutes against Denver, that was kind of a blowout. They won by 20 points. So I think we're going to get like 32 minutes from Adebayo if it's a close game. Without Jimmy Butler, without Kendrick Nunn, and maybe no Dragic as well. We might see, the offense kind of run through Bam Adebayo. This is a guy that can get assists. He's had triple-doubles before. He has triple-double upside. So I actually like him quite a bit at 7,400. He may be a little bit risky because I guess they could limit his minutes. I'm not sure if the Heat, if they have something to play for or not. Maybe that makes someone like Ayton a preferred option, but I don't mind Adebayo at 7,400. I still think he's in play, even if there may be a little bit of minutes risk. And then you got Miles Turner, 6,600. Tough spot here against the Lakers. His price is starting to come up. I think I would prefer to get to Adebayo or to Ayton if you can. I've been playing Miles Turner a lot, but this is probably a spot where I'm going to hop off of him. He might not even play, though. He is questionable, so that is something worth noting. If he were to sit, we'll talk about the guy that I like if he were to sit. Zubac's 5,300. This might be a spot where we see him get like 24, 25 minutes. That's what he's played the last 2 games, 25 and 24 minutes against Phoenix and Dallas. 34 and 44 Draftkings points. Zubac is a very productive player when he gets minutes. They're going to need a guy with size out there to defend Nurkic. So I think we might see about 25 minutes from Zubac again. And at 5,300, I do like him as a center option, a cheaper center play. Between him and like Miles Turner, definitely give me Zubac for the savings, for the $1,300 savings. I'm always concerned about Zubac's minutes, but with Montrezl Harrell still out, that should secure him for probably at least mid to low 20s in minutes, I would assume. And this is a game where they could definitely, give him more minutes than normal because they're going to need a guy with size out there against Nurkic. Then you got Kelly Olynyk, Zach Collins, 2 guys I talked about earlier that you could play for value. But one guy I do want to hit on. So if Miles Turner is out, then Goga Batadze, he's the minimum salary, $3K. He would become easily the top value play on the slate. Minimum salary, this is a guy that gets, over a fantasy point per minute, is incredibly productive when he gets minutes. He's had games this season where he's started for Turner and he started for Sabonis, and he's been very productive in that time. I know the spot's tough against the Lakers, but at minimum salary, it would be very hard for him to fail. I would assume he probably plays about 25, 26 minutes if he does start for Turner, which would make him a top value play. So just keep your eye on that, the status of Miles Turner. If he's out, I assume Batazzi starts, and he's going to be one of my favorite values on the slate for sure. But yeah, guys, I think we covered everything for center. I think we covered everything for the slate. I hope you did enjoy this video. I really do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload and you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you would like, it is optional. You can check out my Patreon link down below. If you want to get more content from me, if you enjoy these YouTube videos and you want to see all that I have to offer on Patreon, that is linked down below in the description. You can check everything out there. You can also give me a follow on Twitter. That's linked down in the description as well. But yeah, guys, best of luck today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you win some money, and we will see you in the next video on Sunday. Peace.